What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ango, youtube.com/AngoYT, and boy, am I glad to make you guys this video because tonight we experienced a very incredible pro wrestling event that was not funded by the WWE, ROH, New Japan, or any other company out there. We're talking about All In. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give you guys a perspective that I hope is different from many others. In fact, it's okay to be a fan of WWE and not agree with All In. Or it's okay to be a fan of All In and not necessarily agree with WWE's product. As a viewer, that's kind of your choice. Now, I watch both. I watch WWE, I watch all the alternatives, and I have some major issues with indie wrestling. And I have some major issues with New Japan and ROH and pretty much every other company that's not as big as WWE. Now, what it all actually falls in line with is very simple. It's not that these products suck. I mean, New Japan is amazing. Impact Wrestling is amazing. ROH is amazing. They all have its flaws, but the biggest issue is WWE seems to be the only wrestling product that is consistently accessible on a daily basis. The engagement through social media, to the live shows, the YouTube channel, obviously episodic events on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and of course pay-per-views. You have that coming from WWE. But I feel like if you really want to be engaged with other pro wrestling shows, it's a little bit harder. Now, that might just be based on where I live. I know ROH, I have to watch it like 5:30 in the morning, and, you know, it's not obviously ideal for me. And obviously with Impact Wrestling being on Pop TV, up until now, I never even had that channel available live in HD. So for a while, it's kind of been hard to watch other pro wrestling products. Now, the reason why this all makes sense is because this video is my review of All In. And today, All In wasn't just an indie wrestling event. It was proof that combining the talents of other pro wrestling companies together in one stadium, one arena, will generate a lot of success. And that's the problem that we see with WWE. We can't foresee an IWGP title match on WrestleMania card. We don't expect Austin Aries to bring the Impact Championship to WWE, and we sure as hell don't expect Rey Fenix to bring the AAA Championship to WWE. So why is this a concern for a lot of people, and why do a lot of people see this as an issue for WWE? Well, WWE is the top guy. They're the big guys in town, and the fact that they're not working with a lot of companies that are in a major position shows that WWE's product is struggling. It's like they don't want to admit that other people are good. And I'm not saying these companies are better than them. That's kind of up to you guys to decide. But it's really coming down to WWE is just not allowing other companies to work with them. It's almost like everything has to be competitive. They're so big in the business, they're really not going to create bigger competition by working with them. In fact, I think New Japan is only starting to gain traction in the United States because of ROH. And ROH isn't even that big. So it's not like New Japan is really gaining major success by working with ROH. But it's starting to help them, obviously, when they come to the United States for their live shows. So why does all of this make sense? There's actually a very good reason for it. I really believe that All In is the new WrestleMania. There's never been a pro wrestling show that has garnished a lot of attention like WrestleMania has. I mean, Impact Wrestling has Slammiversary and Bound for Glory, and some people say those would be one of those two options would be the equivalent to Impact Wrestling's version of WrestleMania. And although Slammiversary this year was an incredible show, it was still only in an arena with like 2,000 to 3,000 fans. Now, I know you're going to look at this and call me crazy because All In sold out with 10,000 seats versus WrestleMania with 70,000 or 80,000. And I get that. The numbers game, WWE is clearly winning. But we're talking about an event that brought together 4 different world champions from different companies, all in the same arena, with no financial backing from large pro wrestling companies. As of right now, we've received no confirmation that All In was funded by ROH or New Japan or WWE or Impact or anything like that. With that being said, why is this show the new WrestleMania? Why is All In the new WrestleMania? What does that exactly mean? Well, there's been no show like WrestleMania to bring people from around the world. Now, me personally, I know friends who flew out to Chicago just to go to this show. They flew out to Chicago without knowing whether or not this card will flop or succeed. They went because they felt like this could be something huge. And we're just talking about the All In card. We're not even talking about StarCast and what that means. Now, the way I like to kind of compare this is simply like I'd like to say like Access, right, for WrestleMania week. It's kind of like Access and StarCast are kind of like on the same platform. Obviously, two different things, but it's kind of like a fan convention type of whatever. Now, with WrestleMania weekend, the reason why it's always been so successful, a lot of people go there. They don't necessarily just watch WrestleMania. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but they go and watch all the indie shows. What All In was all those great indie shows coming together for one big event. And I think that is the equivalent to the indie wrestling WrestleMania. I mean, we saw pieces of New Japan, Impact, and AAA, Lucha Underground. And on top of that, we even got a little taste of WWE when Chris Jericho returned and attacked Kenny Omega. The lights went out for like 40 seconds. Everybody questioned on our live watch show on Twitch whether or not this was part of the plan. Nobody knew what was going on. And on top of that, Chris Jericho was dressed as Pentagon. And as you can imagine, everybody exploded on Twitter when Chris Jericho debuted at All In. So why is this show like the WrestleMania? Well, it's going to depend on whether or not these guys will actually sign to WWE. I'm going to say, based on looking at the show, they should absolutely not sign to WWE just yet, because All In could be a yearly thing where StarCast brings people together, just like WrestleMania weekend does as well. Now, with all of that, I got to tell you guys the truth. This card was unbelievable. From Flip Gordon winning the Battle Royal to eventually losing his world title opportunity against Jay Lethal. From a match like that, you know, we saw some great things from Flip and Jay, obviously. But we saw an incredible four-way women's match with Tessa Blanchard winning. We saw Cody Rhodes win the NWA World Championship belt in a phenomenal match. And just a lot of different things happened in that match that were just incredible. And not only that, but we saw Cody Rhodes with genuine passion in that match. I mean, we're talking about a mid-card guy in WWE who left WWE to become a top star in the indie scene with no guarantee. You know, he had no guarantee that he was going to succeed. And not even to mention, I mean, he won one of the most prestigious belts in pro wrestling. That's my opinion. Whether or not you agree is up to you. But I would say that's one of the most prestigious belts in pro wrestling. Cody Rhodes did that. Now, granted, yeah, he books the show, whatever. But the point is, all of these matches delivered. And we're not even talking about Kenny Omega versus Pentagon. I mean, that match was incredible. Kenny Omega beat Pentagon. The Chris Jericho thing. Chris Jericho calls out Kenny Omega and says, see you at the Chris Jericho cruise. Like, indie wrestling is hot right now. And with WrestleMania, like I said, people used to go to WrestleMania for WrestleMania, but now they're going for the indie shows. Now they're going for the weekend experience. I went to New Orleans and I had a better time watching Progress and NXT than I actually did at Raw and SmackDown. You know, and the reason for that is because WrestleMania was a good show, but to sit on my ass for so many hours, that's just kind of how it is, you know. Now, my one gripe with All In was, it was a little too long. It started at like 6 o'clock for the pre-show, 1 hour pre-show, 7 o'clock for the real show. It didn't end until 11 o'clock. Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi defeated, Rey Mysterio, Rey Fenix, and Bandito in a fantastic match. And you know, when I look at All In, I looked at it like, listen, there's 10,000 seats sold out, but this is a big event coming from people that aren't necessarily as big as WWE, and I feel like in a way that's almost like it shouldn't be happening, because it just seems like it's the impossible to go up against such a giant. This was a huge match, and this was not only was it a huge match card, but I think it was a huge pay-per-view to the point where for the $40, it was worth it, you know. And keep in mind, there was people who only paid like $100 for second row. So your average indie show charges $10-15. You take the best out of all the indies and the best from all other major promotions, put them together for $150, second row right by the ring. I mean, we're talking about a big experience. Now, as time goes on, can they do more than 10,000? I think they can, as the business continues to thrive. But All In is becoming a main attraction, trending #1 on Twitter all night. I just can't see how anybody can say that this is not the new WrestleMania. WrestleMania does 80,000 seats. Okay, I get that. The numbers, the money. WrestleMania obviously draws a lot more. But we're looking at fan interaction, bringing people together, people from New York, Detroit, Canada, everybody's flying to Chicago for this. And with something like that, I don't personally think that you can say this is not a big deal. This is the new WrestleMania. And if they're doing this yearly, I think it shows. Again, keep in mind, this wasn't even supposed to be broadcasted, and this was broadcasted, and this was a beautiful, beautiful production, and everything worked out great. No issues on Fight TV. I look forward to seeing what happens next year. I hear a lot of great things about StarCast, and I know some people personally that were doing their podcast row, and just a lot of cool things going on. So with all of that being said, guys, let me know what you guys thought about All In. Marty Scurll and Okada, by the way, had an incredible match. Crowd was on their feet. I don't want to break it. Look, I don't want to spoil this stuff for you guys. This is something that you didn't have to watch live. Obviously, it was great if you watched it live, but watch the video on demand. I mean, it was fire. So let me know what you guys think about All In. Is this the new WrestleMania? A big pro wrestling event that gathers fans together. I mean, Impact Wrestling has tried it for years, and they weren't able to succeed. ROH can't do it. New Japan can't do it. I think these guys hit a home run. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below and follow me on Twitter at Tango with Tango. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.